Greetings, my scattered sisters and brothers in the Lord. Trust you know the Lord is with you wherever you find yourself scattered today, and that you know that his presence with you is more than enough for whatever you might encounter today. Pilate, the governor of the Romans, or the Roman governor over Judea, has just presented Jesus to the Jewish leadership. And he has stated, "Here is the man, behold the man." Jesus is wearing a crown of thorns. He's bloodied. He's been beaten in the face, and he's wearing a purple robe. And the Jewish leadership cries out to Pilate to crucify him. And Pilate declares that he has found no reason to put Jesus to death. He doesn't see Jesus as a threat whatsoever. And so he tells the Jewish leadership, "You crucify him." Pilate knows that they have no authority to actually do that. And the Jewish leadership responds that they have a law that says that anyone who claims to be the Son of God must be put to death. The implication is that Jesus is making that claim. Well, this shakes Pilate up a bit, and he goes back inside, has Jesus brought back into him, and he questions Jesus. Where are you from? And that's the big question. Where is Jesus from? We know that Jesus is from God, that he is the Son of God. The Jewish leadership has refused to acknowledge where Jesus is from. They are intentionally blind to acknowledging that Jesus is from God. They know that if they confess that he's from God, they have to drastically change their lives. They don't want to do that. But Pilate, he's got the right question. Jesus, where are you from? And Jesus doesn't answer the question. And really, that's kind of a question that we all have to wrestle with. We all have to come to terms with. Where is Jesus from? If he's from God, we need to be obedient to him and recognize that he truly is the king and worthy of our worship. But it's a question that we have to settle ourselves. And so Jesus will not settle the question for Pilate. Pilate has to settle that question. Well, Pilate responds to Jesus' silence with another question. Don't you realize that I have power to crucify you or to set you free? And Jesus answers, you would have no power over me except for what is given to you from above. Pilate is really shaken up now, and he wants to set Jesus free. He's going to try to set Jesus free. And so he goes back out to the crowd, and of course, he has Jesus with him. And he announces to the crowd, "Behold your king." And the crowd says, "We have no king but Caesar." And they want Jesus crucified. Now, this is amazing to me. You have the Jewish leadership who is arrived at this place where they are shouting to crucify Jesus, and they are confessing that they have no king but Caesar. And they tell Pilate that there's no way he can be counted as a friend of Caesar if he lets Jesus live, if he lets somebody else who claims to be a king live. And so the Jewish leadership, they think they've controlled Pilate, and in some sense they have, to where Pilate is left with no choice but to crucify Jesus in order to prove his loyalty to Caesar. It's almost as if the Jewish leadership is trying to show that they are more loyal to Caesar than Pilate himself. And Pilate, he's in this power struggle with the Jewish leadership, trying to humiliate them. Here's your king, and he's, humiliated in terms of the crown of thorns and this robe, and all bloodied, and controlling them to confess loyalty to Caesar. We could go back and forth on this, but here's the main thing I want to get at. When the leadership refuses to acknowledge the kingship of Jesus, they go mad. They actually confess that Caesar is their king. Wow. But that's what happens. When we refuse to acknowledge that Jesus is King, we end up making all kinds of things kings, things that would destroy us, things that do us in, things that offer no hope, no life, no future to us. We proclaim them king when we refuse to acknowledge that Jesus is King. They lost their minds. They went mad. We have no king but Caesar. Wherever you're scattered today, my prayer is that we would confess Jesus is King and that we would live accordingly. Because if we rebel against the kingship of Jesus, we'll actually end up enthroning powers that would destroy us. God bless. Have a great day. And behold Jesus, our King.